Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
Here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C., a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. Got a few things to get into today. One that actually was a big shocker to me, and we'll talk about that here in a quick minute. But first this. New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced today that the mandate for unvaccinated athletes and performers has been lifted. This is about putting New York athletes on a level playing field, Adams said during a news conference at Citi Field. We were treating our performers differently because they live and play in New York City. What that means in the short term for teams like the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, is that unvaccinated players will be able to play in home games. This mostly affects, obviously, who have we been talking about for a while? Kyrie Irving. We know he's not vaccinated against COVID-19 and made clear he would not be getting the vaccine at any point. The Nets originally started the season without Irving because of his decision not to get vaccinated, but ultimately decided to reverse course and allow Irving to be part of the team and play on the road. But again, finally, because this was a dumb rule that made no sense, you could have players from other cities be unvaccinated, come to New York, play games in New York, even though they're unvaccinated, be inside your buildings, be on your benches, be everywhere and anywhere they want to go. But people who live in New York and play in New York cannot play in New York because New York has this stupid mandate. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's dumb. It makes no sense. It's either a mandate for all or it's a mandate for nobody. Why would you make it to where players can come from other cities and even though they're unvaccinated, come into your city and be able to play, but people who live in your city, but because they're unvaccinated, cannot play in their own home stadiums? That is the dumbest rule I've ever heard of. I don't even understand why the rule even existed. I'm not going to get into the politics of it because I could care less about politics. I'm not here to be political, but that was a stupid, stupid rule. Make no mistake about that. All right. Major League Baseball's Player Association agreed to some rule changes. Let's talk about the rule changes that have been affected. Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association have agreed to rule tweaks that will expand rosters, place an automatic runner on second base during extra innings, and allow pitchers to remain in the lineup after they have been replaced on the mound. The last of those changes will make it a lot easier for the LA Angels, obviously, to keep Shohei Ohtani in the lineup after he's done on the mound. The new rules, first reported on by the New York Post, won't be official until MLB owners ratify them with a simple majority next week. A lot of people believe they're obviously going to get that majority. They're not really worried about it. So it looks like these rules are going to take effect. Rosters will expand from 26 to 28 from April 7th through May 1st to account for the shorter spring training that followed the 99-day owner-imposed lockout, which has made it more difficult for starting pitchers to get fully stretched out for the start of the season. There will be no limits on the amount of pitchers teams can carry in April, but they will be restricted to 13 beginning May the 2nd, according to the Post. The automatic runner on second base in extra innings also implemented in an effort to prevent the overusage patterns that typically portend the pitcher injuries and is currently planned for only the 2022 season right now. So we'll see what happens with that. The new designated hitter rule is planned for the life of the collective bargaining agreement, which runs through 2026. Essentially, a pitcher who also hits would be listed as the DH and can remain the DH even if he is no longer pitching. Ohtani, obviously, again, the Japanese two-way sensation who was voted American League MVP unanimously last year, will be the biggest and probably the only beneficiary, receiving an extra 1 or 2 plate appearances practically every time he starts. The Angels often faced a difficult predicament during Ohtani's start days last year, balancing the desire to keep his bat in the lineup while also not overextending him as a pitcher. In close games, they often countered by placing Ohtani in the outfield for an inning or two All told, Ohtani spent 8.5 innings in the outfield last year, most of them in right field, but never had a ball hit to him, which is good because, you don't want him to get injured. So, again, looks like those days are over for him now. These rule changes are interesting, and I just want to go back and revisit this one really quickly. So, the one where they're talking about the designated hitter, that rolls till 2026, but the base runner on second, it looks like it's only going to be for the 2022 regular season. So this is interesting. This is real interesting. But here's where it's not really clear, though. The story's not really clear as to whether this is going to be in the major leagues, because where I get confused is it says this is the third consecutive year that it's going to be in play. I don't remember them ever using a runner on second to start an inning in extra innings. So is this something they're talking about they're going to continue to do in the minors, or is this something that they're actually going to do at the majors? Because, again, where I get confused is where I read the part where it says making this the third consecutive year it's in play. I don't remember them ever using this rule before. I'm going to have to do some more research on that and get back to you because, again, that's the part that's a little confusing to me. And maybe I just haven't paid enough attention to baseball, but I'm pretty sure I have. Pretty sure I watched enough last year. But, again, let me do the research and get back to you. Universal DH, this is an interesting one. They're talking about it's going to be here to stay. This is a different story that I'm looking at. It says the universal designated hitter is here, a style of baseball that has been a near constant in this nation since 1876, and it's about to ease into quasi-extinction, save for a few Shohei Ohtani starts in the mound and perhaps a smattering of pinch hitter appearances. Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke, or pinch running maneuvers. It's a done deal. That became true when the new CBA was mercifully ratified, and it became real when free agent DH Nelson Cruz signed with the Washington Nationals, the first National League team he'll toil for since he broke in with the Milwaukee Brewers in 2005. So with the DH coming to the National League, pitcher hitting is dead. Love it or lump it, the game is going to be different. But how much different? There have been many assumptions made about how this will play out. Some of it is spot on, but a lot of it, really much more of it, is complicated. So let's talk about some of the things that this story is discussing. There's an assumption that designated hitters will out-hit pitchers. Is it true? Obviously, right? I mean, you don't even have to be anything but a sports fan to know that. Proponents of the universal DH, which we'll now start referring to as just the DH, because now that it's been adopted, the universal part becomes redundant, like to point to the increased offense it will bring. More on that in a bit. But what we can say is certainly that as a group, designated hitters will outproduce whatever numbers pitchers would have put up, and they continue to hit. This is blindingly obvious, but we have to begin there because that is kind of what this is all about. Obviously, again, really, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that a DH is going to outperform a pitcher when it comes to being at the bag. There's no doubt about it. Another assumption, the scale of the difference in hitting ability will lead to many more runs. Is this true? Well, depends on what you mean by many, according to the story. We've seen a persistent drop in the collective performance of DHs as the spot has increasingly become a shared position rather than one for everyday players. Nevertheless, as the chart above shows, and there is a chart here, sorry about that, the gap between DHs and pitchers at the plate has only grown over the years. In terms of OPS, DHs were less than twice as good as pitchers in the 1970s. So far in the 2020s, or mostly last season, since few pitchers batted in 2020, that factor has increased to more than 2.5. So another assumption, with the expansion of the DH rules, scoring will go up. Is it true? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of this really is just kind of getting into technical stuff that really is not that big of a deal. They're really overanalyzing this, to be all honest, because bottom line is the DH is now something that is in both the National League and the American League. Pitchers obviously were never effective at the plate. DHs are much more effective. Now you're going to be able to do a lot more things as a manager, being able to use a DH, again, in the National League versus where it was only available in the American League. And I think it's going to make it more competitive because that was always an advantage that the American League had over the National League. Another story that we've got here. Hold on a second. I just want to check something really quickly because something just came across. And no, that's not a big deal. Okay. All right. Let me scratch that real quick. So let's move over to the NBA. Injury updates, right? Playoffs getting ready to come up around the corner here. Let's talk about some of the players and the injuries and if we can, in fact, expect certain players to return before the playoffs. So the playoffs, again, because they're less than a month away and both conferences feature seeding races that are sure to come down to the wire. Several top teams are missing key players who could return in time for the playoffs and help their team's postseason hopes. The number 5 Chicago Bulls and the number 6 Cleveland Cavaliers are separated by one game and missing Lonzo Ball and Jarrett Allen, respectively. The Cavs are just one game ahead of the Toronto Raptors and hoping to avoid the play-in tournament. The Brooklyn Nets, Charlotte Hornets, and the Atlanta Hawks are number 8, 9, and 10 in the East, respectively, entering today's games. All separated by one game and each missing key players. Will Ben Simmons ever make his Nets debut this season? Can Gordon Hayward return in time to help LaMelo Ball make a playoff run? In the West, you got the struggling Golden State Warriors. They finally got Draymond Green back from a 2-month absence, only to lose Steph Curry. The Warriors are struggling to hold off the Utah Jazz, who are just 3 games out of the number 3 seed, and the Denver Nuggets are just a game and a half above the Minnesota Timberwolves for the number 6 seed, but could get some much-needed help for Nikola Jokic in the coming weeks. The LA Lakers and New Orleans Pelicans are locked in a race for the home court advantage in a potential play-in game, with both teams awaiting the returns of their stars. Can Anthony Davis help LeBron James save the Lakers season? Will Zion Williamson finally make his season debut? Again, and I just want to make sure that I say this because I have been consistent, Zion Williamson is a bust. I don't see why they're worried about it. They just need to let this guy go. I get it. You got a lot of money invested in him. I get it. He would be a fan favorite if he was on the court, but for how long? He's about as reliable. I take it back. He makes Anthony Davis look reliable. That's how big of a bust Zion Williamson is, in my opinion. The Hawks announced on March 17th that Collins would be reevaluated, by the way, in a 10 and 14-day time period following a non-surgical procedure on his foot. Collins sat out in 7 games while nursing the foot injury before returning to the team on March 4th. He played 4 games, but clearly wasn't himself, averaging just 9.3 points on 35.9% shooting, down from his season average of 16.2 points and 52.6. And Danilo Gallinari has filled in admirably as a starter with Collins out of the lineup, but Atlanta could use Collins' scoring punch as it fights for positioning in the Eastern Conference play. The Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons. Simmons has not played this season after requesting a trade out of Philadelphia last summer. He was dealt to the Nets prior to last month's trade deadline, but still hasn't been cleared to practice as he continues to deal with a herniated disc in his back. It remains to be seen if Simmons will play this season. Nets coach Steve Nash remains optimistic, but Simmons hasn't been able to do anything on the floor in weeks. The Nets have played some of their best basketball of the season recently, winning 6 of their past 7 games behind the power of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Nets players and coaches continue to say that Simmons is in good spirits. The Nets' postseason hopes would benefit from Simmons' perimeter defense and the way he could push the ball offensively, but there is still no timetable for his return. Charlotte Hornets and Gordon Hayward. Hayward spoke to the media last week for the first time since February and said that a plan was progressing for him to contact this week and see how it progress to contact this week, in practice, and see how it responds and kind of take it from there. Charlotte is 26-22 when Hayward plays this season and 11-14 when he doesn't. For a young, energetic team, Hayward's steadiness, precise shooting, he's hitting 39% in threes, by the way, and the ability to create alongside ball give Charlotte a big boost. If he can return before the play-in tournament, he'll make the Hornets a far tougher team to eliminate. The Chicago Bulls, Lonzo Ball, speaking of the balls, Ball will be reevaluated on March 31st after the Bulls pulled back the rehab process on his knee earlier this week because he wasn't responding properly to the recovery program following arthroscopic knee surgery in January. Ball will be shut down from running until at least the end of the month, which puts a return during the regular season in jeopardy, even if he starts to show improvement by then. Without Ball, the Bulls have moved to Alex Caruso, and he's played pretty good. You can't really complain about the job that Caruso's done. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they got an injury update with Jarrett Allen. Allen chose not to get surgery on his injured finger, and the hope is that he'll be able to return to the court for the Cavaliers before the end of the regular season. Allen has broken out in a big way this season, forming one of the league's best interior defensive tandems alongside rookie Evan Mobley. He's helped the Cavaliers turn into one of the league's best stories this year with their surprising bid for a playoff spot. And I've been saying this consistently all year long. The Cleveland Cavaliers are playing some of the best basketball I have seen them play since they got rid of LeBron James, or since LeBron James walked away, however you want to word it. The Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray, got an injury update on him. Murray's been working his way back, and there is a chance he could be sent down to the G League for a block of practices, but a return to this season is up in the air. The Nuggets are going to take things very slow, and with their star guard, who will be a year removed from tearing his ACL when the play-in tournament begins, Nuggets coach Michael Malone told reporters on Sunday that Murray is not close to playing in a game. Denver has 9 games remaining in the regular season, and the Nuggets' approach has typically been to play things safe with the health of their top players and prospects. Michael Porter Jr. Porter underwent lumbar spine surgery on December 1st, and his agent, Mark Barlstein, told the Four Letter Network in late February that Porter was progressing toward a possible return in March. Jokic has been sensational all season, playing at an MVP level again, but Porter would be a big boost for the Nuggets with his three-point shooting and rebounding. And then, of course, Golden State Warriors facing an injury with Steph Curry. The Warriors will be without Curry for at least another week and a half as he recovers from a sprained ligament in his left foot. They have won just 1 game since his injury, and they have looked abysmal. So I don't even know what to say about this one, because if they don't get Steph Curry back, it is over for the Warriors. The LA Clippers got an injury update on Kawhi Leonard. Leonard suffered the injury in his second round of the 2021 playoffs against the Jazz and has not played since. He had surgery on July 13th, but the Clippers still do not have a timetable for his return. The Clippers are entrenched in the 8th spot in the West and on their way to the play-in tournament. By all accounts, Leonard has been working hard and looks to be in good shape, but the Clippers will be extra cautious with their franchise star. If they make it out of the play-in tournament, however, and Paul George and Norman Powell also return, Leonard would just need clearance from the medical staff to play again. So Paul George could be coming back to the lineup. Moving over to none other than who? The team that everybody talks about way too much, the LA Lakers and Anthony Davis. If everything continues to progress well in Davis's rehab, the all-star big man could be suiting up for games by the first week of April at the earliest. Sources told the Four Letter Network the Lakers have gone 18-7 in the past 2 postseasons when Davis and James were in the lineup and able to finish the game. That's the stat that keeps LA locker rooms believing. Despite how difficult the season has been, the Lakers struggled to adjust without him at first, going 2-9 out of the All-Star break, but started to find a mix that works by giving more time to role players like Stanley Johnson, Austin Reeves, and Wenyen Gabriel to replicate the defensive-minded presence that Davis provides. While letting James continue to shoulder the offensive burden, if Davis can get back, there won't be much time to ramp things up before the play-in tournament. But if his immediate return to high-level play coming off an MCL sprain in January is any indicator, a ramp-up might not be needed. And then, of course, the New Orleans Pelicans and Brandon Ingram. Ingram is still listed as out, but the team is hopeful he can return on the upcoming 3-game homestand. The Pelicans are 5-17 when Ingram sits this season, but 3 of those wins have come in the past 5 games as the team has been able to lean on C.J. McCollum. New Orleans has been a 500 team with Ingram this season, 25-25, and also a 500 mark, 5-5 with McCollum and Ingram together. as the Pelicans battle the Lakers for the number 9 spot and home court for the play-in game. A healthy Ingram will give New Orleans an added boost. And, of course, Larry Nance Jr. Nance had surgery on February 11th after being traded in a deal with the Portland Trail Blazers that also sent McCollum to New Orleans. He has yet to play for the Pelicans this season, but he has been upgraded to probable, and the team expects him to make his debut on Thursday. Nance has been shooting and jumping for a couple of weeks as he prepares to make his Pelicans debut. Nance could slot in at power forward next to Jonas Valanciunas or Willie Hernangomez, or play alongside Jackson Hayes, who the Pelicans have given starting power forward minutes to. It's not out of the question to play Nance at the small forward spot with Hayes and Valanciunas either. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. I believe I can. He'll give the Pelicans another veteran presence as they make their final push. Zion Williamson, there has been no timetable given for the return to play. If Williamson returns at all this season after fracturing the 5th metatarsal in his right foot in offseason workouts, Williamson has had setbacks throughout the year, and his return has been constantly delayed. And again, I don't know why they're wasting their breath. That's just me. Phoenix Suns got some good news with Chris Paul. Paul fractured his thumb in the final game before the All-Star break, an injury that was expected to sideline him for 6 to 8 weeks. He might beat that timetable in making his return. He's been going through shooting drills for the past 2 weeks and taking other steps towards getting back in the game. The Suns, meanwhile, haven't just survived without Paul. Phoenix has thrived since the All-Star break, going 11-4 in that span and preventing any team from remotely threatening the Suns in the fight for the NBA's best record. Paul's absence might have been a silver lining. The 36-year-old perennial All-Star point guard should have fresh legs for the playoffs, which the Suns will enter as title favorites. Well, that's depending on who you ask, because most people aren't really giving them a whole lot of respect, but that's a whole different conversation. All right, so Sweet 16. We got some games tonight in the NCAA men's tournament. Arkansas and Gonzaga. I'm just going to tell you who I think is going to win straight up. I am going to give the victory to Gonzaga to get past Arkansas. In my mind, there really is no doubt that is the better team. Duke and Texas Tech. I know that Vegas, for whatever the reason is, seems to be a fan of Texas Tech. I don't see the Blue Devils failing. They got a lot of momentum. They got a coach who's on his way out to retirement. They're going to play hard because of that fact. They grew up a lot since they took that beating from North Carolina. I'm not saying Duke's going to win it all, but I do believe Duke is going to win tonight, beating Texas Tech. Another game going on tonight. You got Houston and Arizona. This one to me is a no-brainer. It's the Arizona Wildcats all day. They are also my pick to win it all, but I believe they're not only going to beat Houston tonight, I believe they're going to beat Houston by double digits, and I really firmly believe that. Obviously, there are some games that are going to be taking place tomorrow. We'll talk about those really quickly. Providence Friars and Kansas Jayhawks. Absolutely, without a doubt, it's Kansas moving on to the Elite Eight. North Carolina and UCLA, I am going to give that victory to North Carolina all day long. Looks to me like Vegas is favoring UCLA somewhere between 2 to 3 points, but I am definitely giving that victory to North Carolina. Iowa State Cyclones and Miami Hurricanes. I don't know much about these teams, but I have done some reading up on both these teams. I am going to go with Miami to get past Iowa State. So those are my picks for the basically games that are taking place today and tomorrow in the men's NCAA. All right, when I started today's show, I told you that there was a story that I didn't see coming, and I didn't. I did not know that this was even a possibility. So when I looked at this and I saw this, I was like, wow, I can't even believe it. Now, we all know Deshaun Watson moved over. He is the QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. However, what you probably did not know, what I did not know until I saw this come across my stuff, was that there is a second grand jury mulling another charge against the Cleveland Browns quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Yes, you heard me correctly. There is another charge that is being looked at criminally against Deshaun Watson. The grand jury is in Brazoria County, south of Houston. The Browns declined comment, but a team spokesperson told the Four Letter Network that the team was aware of the potential of a second grand jury and was made aware that it was hearing evidence. The Browns, as you know, they acquired Watson from the Houston Texans last week for 3 first-round picks and 3 other draft picks as well. We all know the details of the contract. But again, I didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming. But again, to me, the big news is there is a second grand jury in Texas considering evidence related to another accusation of sexual misconduct against Deshaun Watson. So for all those people that said that it doesn't matter what he does in his personal life and they can care less and they have no problem separating the man from the football player, they just want the football player and they want to win titles, you might want to rethink your drink. Just saying. All right, that's going to do it for this week, actually, because this is the final podcast of the week. We will be back at it on Monday. You guys enjoy all of the NCAA men's tournament action, and we will talk again on Monday.